If you're aware of AI and how effective it can be, but you're worried about using it, particularly if you're analyzing private information, whether it's your own or whether it's your clients', then this is the video for you. Because we're going to take you through how to create personalized GPTs and control the input to them. So you're not risking sharing any private information about your clients, and you're also reducing that risk of the AI hallucinating and creating fake information, because you're controlling exactly what information is input into the system to begin with, all without risking sharing that information with anyone else. So if you want to learn how to create personalized GPTs, particularly for individual clients or for other functions within your business, then keep watching as we take you through that in this video. In this video, I'm going to take you through how to create custom GPTs using ChatGPT. It's a very useful tool if you have specific objectives that you want GPT to do for you, or if you are analyzing information that is very specific or is very private. For example, if you were analyzing a client's financial information and you just wanted to analyze their financial information and their financial information alone, controlling the input, so they're only referring to information in that client's accounts, and it's not then also sharing that information with the greater large language model, because everything is kept self-contained within the private GPT. Also, this can be useful for things such as customer service. Perhaps you want to input a lot of information to do with your organization and then use it to answer emails for you, essentially, because it's only then drawing from a specific database specific to your organization. And there are a couple of ways in which we can do this. And to start with, we go onto the top right-hand corner and we click on My GPTs. And we can see you can have a look at ones that's created with me or ones that have been shared by you. There's also ones that the community has created as well. If you don't want to make sure, or you want to make sure that the GPT you are creating is not going to be shared with the community, make sure that it's selected on private. So we click on a custom GPT. You can see it's now brought us to this screen here. There are two ways in which we can create it. We can create it using GPT itself, asking it to create a GPT that does X, Y, Z, or we can create one and configure one manually. So for starters, I'll go on to create. So let's say that you wanted to create a tool that was going to analyze the finances and reports of a particular client. You might say, I'm an accountant and I'm analyzing, sorry, I can't spell, client X. I want a GPT that analyzes client X and only client X and does not share information. The GPT should provide professional, reasoned financial advice in a report format. And we click go. And it will analyze what that means and create and update a GPT based on our needs. As you can see, it's working now. Just give it a moment to do that. And now you can see it's essentially given us a GPT that provides structured financial analysis exclusively for client X, and it's given us some prompts of things that we can do. Of course, it doesn't necessarily know who client X is at the moment, but we could then post in information to do with client X. We could ask it to analyze general trends in the market, etc. And that's a very simple way of doing that. Now, of course, that might not be perfect at this point. We might want to refine it, but it's giving some information on how to start that. Now, what we can do to analyze it and create it more effectively is to configure it automatically or configure it manually. So we might say client X reports, giving it a specific name. And what it does as well, provides structured financial analysis exclusively for client X. And you can see it's already given us the instructions. So this GPT is designed exclusively for analyzing and providing insights on client X, all the information we've already put in. It's already guessed what we want it to do, such as evaluate financial data, risk factors, cash flow, etc., and gives responses. When details are missing, it will ask us to provide that information. Rather than making assumptions, rather than going to the internet and finding information or anything like that, it will specifically ask us to input further information if needed. So that's very useful from a control perspective, to stop it from sharing information, from stopping it from making up figures. So it's all part of the compliance and control of this as well, which is an important factor because one of the risks of using AI is that it sometimes does make those assumptions. It will communicate in a professional tone and be objective. And it's also given us a structure here for what we want that analysis to look like. So we can tailor that. Let's say that our client doesn't want us to do the risk assessment or doesn't want us to provide a conclusion or anything like that. We can remove that. What we can also do is we can ask it to perhaps look at specific information. So we can upload maybe files related, all the files we have related to that client, we can upload, so we'll look at those and then we can specifically ask it to look at this report, look at that report, look at that information the client's given us. What we can also even do is we can ask it to maybe look at the client's website if there's further information. So we could ask in the instructions to review www.clientx.com. so that it would review their website. So again, it's only information specific to client X, but it is still expanding its scope outside of the input in GPT. So what you might then want to do if you were using this is to make sure you've uploaded all files related to client X. Remember that if it's a private GPT, it's not sharing its information with anyone else. It's not sharing it with the community. It's not sharing it with the large language model as a whole. It's exclusively for client X. So it's all private knowledge, because I know that is a key concern for many people when it comes to using AI with client information. So you might upload those files there. We've then got certain capabilities that we can ask it. So we can ask it to use DALL-E to create images if needed. You might not feel there's any need to create images, so you might untick that. Canvas is a report format, so we perhaps want that ticked so that it can produce those formatted reports for us. And we can even choose whether or not it accesses the web. So we might want it unticked if we're just using files that we're uploading, or we might want it ticked if we are going to ask it to review clientx.com. With the regards to the code GPT, you might want this ticked because, as it says, it's going to be able to do more comprehensive data analysis if you have that ticked. And you can even ask it to create new actions and to do different things. This is quite at the advanced level of it, and this is more to do with actual programming. So if you don't want it to actually do any programming, to do any Python analysis or anything like that, then you may just want to leave that blank. Now, of course, in this instance, we're not actually uploading anything with regards to client X. I'm just using it as an example. But once you've uploaded all those files, you might want to then click Create. What that's then going to do is create a private client X report function on your GPT, when you can then ask specific questions just to do with that client in there, and it contains all that information. All the information you want is then uploaded as well, so you're not having to upload it every time you want to analyze this report or anything like that. All the information to do with client X is stored in that GPT, and it's only analyzing that client when you are asking it questions. So that's a really useful way of creating a specific GPT just for that particular client that is data compliant. It's not sharing that information. It's also summarizing all of the information, all of the reports you have on that client in one place, so you don't need to keep uploading it or anything like that. And it's going to help you to analyze information for that client. It's going to help you write reports for that client, to address concerns of that client, all within GPT. So a really useful tool there of how you can maximize your use of GPT by creating specific client GPTs for each of your clients in a way that is safe, in a way that is effective, in a way that's going to allow you to analyze a lot of information based on a particular client at the touch of a button.